Let's go to Romania. Bucharest to be exact. Welcome back to the channel. We're in Bucharest, Romania this weekend, and we're going to show you guys, like our normal vlog style, show you all the cool places we go. But we wanted to change it up, and we're going to do 5 tips for traveling in Europe this year for you guys to know. So stay tuned for that and tell them how excited you are. So let's go. Our journey begins with a meal at Caru su Bier. With a history of over 130 years old, you can see how beautiful the building is in Bucharest's Old Town. The meal itself was fantastic, I must say.
Okay, it's time for tip number 1. Tip number 1 might not be for those who are already in Europe, but for those who maybe are thinking about planning and coming to Europe. A good app for you to have is this app right here. It's called Airlo. And what Airlo does is it's a electronic SIM card for your phone so that you don't get any charges when you're overseas, and you can change it for each country that you visit, and you can decide what kind of plan you want and for how many days you want, and it's really useful when you're going on a long road trip or really just coming to Europe in general. Stay tuned for the next tips.
As of 2020, the Palace of the Parliament is valued at 4 billion euros, making it the most expensive administrative building in the world. The cost of heating, electricity, and lighting alone exceeds 6 million euros per year. The Palace of the Parliament also sinks 6 millimeters each year due to its outstanding weight. It took a team of approximately 700 architects to construct the building over a period of 13 years, between 1984 and 1997. The palace was ordered to be built by Nicolae Ceausescu, the president of Communist Russia, also known as the dictator, and the second of 2 long-ruling heads of state in the country since World War II. How's it going, guys? We just left the Palace of Parliament here in Romania, and I have got to say it was crazy and amazing. What did you think about it?
I thought it was crazy, and I'm waiting for Joseph to build me one.
Yeah, just insane. Heaviest building in the world, and I think second largest government building behind the Pentagon. Take a look. Nuts. All right, guys, tip number 2 for traveling in Europe this year. So, as you guys may know, when you travel to Europe, you're going to be using different kinds of money. Now, I would say it's about 50-50 depending where you are, if the place is going to accept credit card or debit card. We've gone to places and they've said, hey, cash only. And we've literally had to leave and walk to an ATM, get money, go back. And places will usually let you do that in Europe, but it's better to have the money on hand just so you don't run into that issue. So most places in Europe, you're going to use the euro, which I have here for you. But the thing that you need to know is we're in Romania right now, and also when we were in the Czech Republic, Croatia at the time, they're converting to the euro, but some of these countries use different currency. So here in Romania, they use I believe it's the leu, the Romanian, or lei, and that's this money, as you can see here. And so just know you're going to have to pull out your debit card, go to an ATM, pull out the local currency. And when you're traveling, one tip is do not use the converters at the airport. Usually they'll give you the worst rate, and it's better to go to a bank in town or an ATM in town and see what the fees are like from there. Stay tuned for the next tip.
Tip number 3 is whenever you're going around places in Europe, make sure to read about the place beforehand, because some have dress codes, like if you're going to churches, and stuff like that. It could be as simple as covering up your shoulders, or making sure your legs don't show, things like that. And always wear comfortable shoes. Unless you're taking an Uber everywhere, then dress however you want. Bye!
Our next stop takes us to the former dictator Ceausescu's mansion, and man, it was a mind-blowing place. Take a look. All right, tip number 4. We got to talk about ACs in Europe. If you're traveling to Europe, you got to realize that most places are not going to have AC depending on the country. So we're here in Romania, and I'm going to throw some clips up, and you guys are going to see they have ACs everywhere. But the one in our room isn't on right now. And the same thing happened to us in Italy. It wasn't on until May, and we were there in April. So that's something to be aware of when you're booking a hotel. One of the most interesting things I noticed in Bucharest was the fact that you would have brand new beautiful hotels and buildings, and behind them you would have run down, torn down buildings from the communist era. And I could see why it might scare away some tourists due to thinking the place is kind of sketchy and beat up, but overall our time in Bucharest, it was very safe and we had a very enjoyable time. And I highly recommend you check it out for yourself if you're in the area. All right, guys, so we got tip number 5 here for you, and it's got to do with the electricity. So as you can see here, we have 230 volt, and in the US we use 110, obviously. So in Romania, 230, most of Europe uses 220 volt. But the difference here is, as you can see, the plug type right here. Now this hotel does have USB, which is nice, but you can't just go with your normal charger because you can't plug it in. So what you got to do is you got to buy either one of these, adapters that you could plug in, and then you could plug in your normal charger into it, which is what I'm doing right now, because my phone uses USB-C, so I can't just plug it into the USB. But you can also buy an actual European charger, and so this plugs into that, and then on top it has USB-C and USB, so this one's a lifesaver for us. We have once run into a hotel that it had this style of plug, and I believe it was in Prague, Czech Republic, but it had a notch cut out somewhere in here. So this charger that we have, as you can see, it's a full circle. It wouldn't fit in here. So we had to go out and buy a different charger because that one, even our European one, wouldn't work there. So just something to be aware of. Look up um, what type of voltage and what type of actual charger port that they have in the country that you're traveling to. Just another good thing to know. I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.